Given your instructions, both ears touch gloves, touch gloves, touch gloves. The boxers don't start until you touch the glove.
So a little game being played there. Ricky Thomas and James Toney first not touching gloves. Frank Cappuccino was the winner, however.
It's not going to be another one of those. Tell me it's not going to be another one of those, Barry, please.
Well, as you said, Thomas is all business, but I'll tell you what, so is James Toney.
And you know, when you look at Toney at this weight, he looks pretty good. I mean, he said all along that this is the weight he should be at, and that at this weight he won't lose the stamina that he lost as a middleweight, and that he'll fight 3 minutes of every round, which people criticized him for not doing as a middleweight.
Comes out working the jab strongly. Well, he really made a believer out of me against Iran Barkley. Him and I sat there and watched that fight together.
Sterling performance. I mean, that was about as good as it gets against a highly motivated and well-trained Iran Barkley.
Well, we talked about the fact that we were critical of him early, and the fight that made, I can speak for myself, that made me that way was the fight with Murphy Sosa, which I thought neither of them won.
Yeah, that was early on. That was just before he fought Michael Nunn, and who would have given him much of a chance against Nunn? And as we said, Nunn did well early, but since then, James Toney has continued to hone his skills. There's Thomas. Now, Thomas has a very good left hook, and you saw it there. That's his best punch. Mentioned that he had been 10 rounds with Lamar Parks, who's a very fine middleweight, one of the best in the world. And 10 rounds with Van Horn in a bout that almost everybody thought he won. Had a loss to South Africa that he thinks he won. So he stays in there with everybody. And you can see, when you look at Ricky Thomas, he's going to throw good shots at you.
It's a very good non-title fight for Toney, actually, because he's not in there with a guy who's going to fall down.
You were mentioning Julio Cesar Chavez. Jorge Paez also comes to mind during his championship reign. Fought often in championship and non-title fights.
Right hand by Toney and a left hand behind it. And we've also talked about the fact that oftentimes we see fighters who become better as champion than on their way up, and I think Toney is certainly indicative of that. Norris is another guy who comes to mind that's indicative of that.
Thomas using the jab here early. He's told us today, he said, I need to get my jab in because Toney's jab is so strong. To nullify it, I've got to land mine first. Toney digging to the body. Good defensive work by Thomas, though.
Nice right hand up over the top by Toney.
You look at Ricky Thomas, and you just know that what he really needs career-wise for him is to fight some guys that aren't absolute top middleweights and get himself some wins. But, of course, this is a very competitive match right here to see him in.
So we come to the end of the first round. Thomas held his own, but I don't know that he won the round. We'll be back.
Well, it didn't land perfectly, but that's something to look for later. So you can see that Ricky Thomas has skills, good combinations, but Toney blocking virtually all those. And one of the areas in which James Toney has improved is in defense. There you see the numbers in round one.
60 of those 71 punches thrown by Toney, incidentally, were jabs.
You know, if you throw double left hooks like Ricky Thomas just threw, against 90% of the guys, you're going to land both those punches. He didn't land either of them against Toney. Those were good, quick punches.
Toney's just improved in every aspect of the game. His defense is considerably better, although he's always a pretty good defensive fighter. His jab is just terrific. You saw that snapping left jab.
Strong jab by James Toney. You know, as a middleweight, he had such trouble, he says, because of the weight loss. But in so many of his championship fights, what people will remember is how tough it was on him. Against Nunn, he had to come back to win. Against Reggie Johnson, he was decked in the second round, won by a split decision, and had to win the last 3 rounds to win the bout. And he won the last 2 rounds on 2 judges' scorecards to get a draw against McCallum, and the beat goes on. So he had some tough fights, but he came through all of them.
That jab of his is really a weapon. Just a moment ago, it actually caused Thomas to take a step back.
This is the kind of defense that he showed against Iran Barkley. I mean, guys throwing good, quick punches at him, and he's slipping them as if they're nothing. The other thing James Toney's doing in this bout that he did against Barkley is he's not laying in on the inside. That was when he always used to look a little tentative, when he would lay in on the inside with guys and then just look like he's kind of taking breathers. Here he's staying on the outside, boxing.
And this doesn't detract from what Thomas is doing.
No, that's the point. I'm telling you, with the hand speed Ricky Thomas is showing here, he'd be hitting other guys. He's not hitting James Toney.
Well, you know, what strikes me just sitting here watching this is we see a lot of very good boxers here on Top Rank Boxing, and then there's about another 10 or 11 or 12 guys, however many, that are just a cut above. I mean, these are the guys who are the champions, who have been champions for a while. I equate that with doing a season of college basketball here on ESPN. And then when college basketball is over, I'll go over and watch my local team, which is the Golden State Warriors, play. And pro basketball, the NBA, is a different game. It's a different sport. Well, such is the case here. The champion against a very good challenger.
Here was a move that they worked on Ricky Thomas. When Toney turns this way, they want to throw a left hook to the body and land the right hand to the back of the head. No, he misses. Couldn't do the maneuver they talked about today to us, Barry, where he would throw the left hook to the body and then move to his right and land the right hand to the head of Toney. He didn't move to his right because it's so unnatural to do that.
Yeah, and it goes, of course, contrary to what everybody else has tried to do with Toney.
Yeah, when Toney does that, there you look at the jabs and about Toney's doing better. When Toney does that, your natural inclination is to take a step to the left and trying to hit him with the hook. They want to throw the hook but take a step to the right and hit him in the head. It's hard to do that.
Left hand by Thomas that got there.
He's got an excellent left hook. That is his best punch. Most guys would not block both those double left hooks. Toney did. You're supposed to land one of those two punches when you throw a double left hook. Something should be open, but it wasn't.
It's really a lesson that Toney is administering here, both offensively and defensively.
And look at the activity of Ricky Thomas. He's throwing jabs, he's throwing hooks. They're all good punches, good straight right hands. He is doing nothing that should lead you to believe that he wouldn't be effective in there, but he's not effective.
Yeah, there's nothing to criticize in what Ricky Thomas is doing. We said he came here to fight. He's fighting.
Three-punch combination, and only the hook to the body lands for Thomas.
And in Toney's corner between rounds, they told him slow up a little bit. Oh, good uppercut by Toney.
Smiles at him, still ain't got it. Now, Ricky Thomas is being soft. Every time Thomas throws the hook, the short right hand is there from Toney.
This really is a clinic right now.
It really is. You know what's interesting? Thomas has thrown so many punches, he might end up winning this round in some judges' scorecards because they may not feel that Toney has blocked everything. Yet Toney has probably been the sharper puncher.
So we come to the end of the third round. Hard for me to see it going any other way but the way of Toney.
Herb. Blocking. Blocking. Done a lot of slipping throughout this bout also. Slipping punches. And you know, now here is where, as we headed around for the punch profile, shows you something. Didn't you think, I did, that Thomas threw a lot more punches than him in the last round? Guess what? Only 2 more punches thrown by Thomas in the last round. Perception is something, but yet the facts are another thing.
Toney starts this round trying to use the body, and look at the totals through 3 rounds.
Look at that. Toney has thrown more punches, and I have to say, Thomas has seemed busier, hasn't he? And yet, no, not the case.
Come on, don't screw around. Hey, take it to school, Toney.
Quick right hand.
Excellent double left hook by James Toney. James Toney's a different fighter, and there's my scorecard. Most fighters, when they say, gee, I can't keep the weight and it's made me weak, you tend to wonder about him. Not with James Toney. His best days are ahead of him at 168, and he says maybe 175 pounds is the light heavyweight. But I assure you at this weight, at 168, he'll be about 50% better than he was as a middleweight.
I can see him going to 175.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of body. Looks like he can carry it.
He wanted to fight Prince Charles Williams. Williams went off and got beat by Henry Mask. I guess he can go fight Henry Mask.
That's right.
He's got a lot of things ahead of him, as he pointed out in that feature. Let it go! And it was a crapshoot. They rolled the dice and said, let's have him fight a lot as a middleweight, hope he can make it through it, and then when we go up to super middleweight, they'll have to come to us. We'll be the guy they need, and that's exactly what happened. And I'll tell you, somebody like Roy Jones, I know everybody thinks of him as the second coming. He needs James Toney more than James Toney needs Roy Jones for a big match.
James Toney wants him, though, so
yeah,
he might not have trouble making that match.
No, not at all. Is there anybody Toney won't fight?
No, you got to admire that.
Yes. Ricky Thomas still throwing pretty good combinations, but most of them are just not getting there. It's really rugged when you're in there against the guy who's hand speed. Now, Ricky Thomas is a quick-handed fighter, but Toney is just as quick, if not quicker, and more powerful.
Thomas continues to try. He's not just showing up. There's a great uppercut by Toney.
Yeah, he's doing more than trying. He's throwing hellacious combinations that are doing nothing in most cases. Instead, he's getting hit with counter punches.
To go into James Toney's corner. We always talk about corners and the work that's done between rounds, and calm corners always seem to work best. Listen to Bill Miller.
The middle now is going to begin to work for you. And when you rip that shot through the middle, back with the left hook, but continue to keep jabbing, because he don't like jabs. But continue to keep that jab, because as long as you're jabbing, you break up any rhythm that he's got.
That's the way it's supposed to be done.
That's good corner work, folks. Here's the uppercut by James Toney. Oh, my. Give Ricky Thomas credit. Look, that didn't budge him an inch.
No, Ricky Thomas is really doing nothing wrong. You know, it's just the old thing that a Pinto's not going to win a Kentucky Derby.
And there's the right hand that we see from above, and that's a very apt analogy. Your second horse reference.
That's true. Oh, yeah,
today.
that's right.
And none of them about my horse.
No, Bob.
Bob, yes. By the way, you know what? This weekend, there's the Ben Johnson Pro Celebrity Rodeo in Phoenix is being held.
Is that this weekend?
Yeah, I'm not there, of course. I'm here doing boxing. But people should go out there. It's for a good cause.
They want Toney to work the jab here.
Let go, baby. Let go.
See if he does that. Toney hooking.
He's as good a body puncher as you're going to find in the sport. He is just an excellent body puncher. Isn't there an amazing difference between him now than when he fought in those middleweight fights where he would fight in quick spurts then stop?
What a right hook. Thomas is still there. That's a hook that puts almost everyone down. Thomas comes right back.
You know what this fight is making me want? This is going to sound strange, probably. This fight makes me want to see Ricky Thomas against somebody not as good as James Toney, and it'll make the most exciting fight you'll ever see in your life. And Ron Katz, the matchmaker, sitting right next to us, and I'm lobbying with him right now that even if Ricky Thomas doesn't come through this fight with Toney with a win, which is possible he might not, let's see him against the guy that he has a good shot at beating.
Meantime, the clinic continues here. Toney says to Thomas, come on.
Keep boxing, Ricky, and move. Get out. Get out of there.
Toney, you know, the other thing about Toney that gets lost in the shuffle somewhere is his counterpunching ability. Excellent counterpuncher. That is part of what's giving Thomas problems in this match.
There was a good right hand. That might have gotten Thomas' attention. The left hand big one. Thomas continues to fight back.
You know, it is interesting. He's showing these nice combinations, just as he did against Darren Van Horn and Lamar Parks and these other good fighters that he fought. And it's doing even less for him here against James Toney.
And that time, Toney with a crafty move just spun him and hit him.
Another big name that he fought that he lost in 10, he really felt he beat him, was Davey Hilton. He lost to him in Canada, so I'll give you a clue. Davey Hilton, of course, from Canada.
Thomas, for the first time, takes a backward step. Another good round for James Toney.
James Toney knows what's coming from Ricky Thomas. Everything is either blocked or slipped. Of course, remember what Mickey Mantle said about Sandy Koufax in the 62 World Series? He said, if I had known a curveball was coming from Koufax, I still wouldn't have hit it. In this case, if Toney did know, he's going to definitely slip the punch.
The numbers in the 5th round, and Toney again just in complete control. Thomas, incidentally, only landed 1 of 33 power shots that he threw, and that speaks to exactly what you were talking about.
And the punches he threw, see, were not wild, crazy punches. Now James Toney is throwing, and you made the point, Barry, in the last round. For the first time, Ricky Thomas seemed like he was affected by the power of throwing. Look at this.
Boy, those are some great shots. Those are just great shots.
Even the ones that are blocked, after that comes a left hook to the body that you don't block. Beautiful 5-punch combination. One got there for Ricky Thomas. By the way, Ron Katz has assured me we are going to see Ricky Thomas again in a bout in which he's going to be on pretty equal terms. He's got a good chance to win or put on a great show for us.
And Ron's also going to make Lou Savarese and Hulk Hogan.
Or is it the Incredible Hulk?
Yeah.
And pulling him in like that is the first sign of frustration we see in Ricky Thomas. And you know, James Toney, in talking to us today, he had a lot of respect for Thomas. He said, this is not a bad fighter I'm fighting. He said, I saw him fight Lamar Parks. I saw him beat Darren Van Horn. He said he definitely beat Van Horn. He felt that Thomas won that fight. He said, so I know I'm not in there against some pussycat. And I'll tell you what, he's in very good shape, James Toney. Even though he's slightly over the 168-pound limit.
He was 170 today. He was absolutely right in his assessment of Thomas.
You know, they talked today about whether maybe Toney would come into this bout less than motivated. This is the camp for Ricky Thomas, and they might catch him on an off day. They didn't.
No. I think off days for him may be a memory.
I believe so. And I think a lot of it has to do with the weight. At 168, he can make the swing.
What an uppercut. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Best punch of the fight by Toney. End of round 6. We'll be back.
and followed by a superb right hand. They've been very nice here to us here at the Fernwood Resort, and we've enjoyed our stay.
Expect we'll be coming back. Through 6 rounds, and you see the edge now that Toney has built up. Pretty punch-landed edge. There's the uppercut again.
You feel the power of Toney taking over.
Make a step over! Come on, Toney! He just want to be, baby. Give it to him.
Frustrating for Ricky Thomas right now because his technique is still there, believe it or not, after getting nailed with these big shots. But as Bill Miller told Toney, and he's listening to him, the jab will disrupt everything that Ricky Thomas is doing. And Thomas wanted to get his own jab in against James Toney. Couldn't quite, has not been able to do it.
Hand speed of James Toney is really a marvel at this weight.
Yeah, moving up in weight, but not losing anything. In fact, gaining in a way because he doesn't feel weak, so he's throwing quicker.
No, he is. He's much more up-tempo and has been from the opening bell.
Now, the Darren Van Horn defense is a mandatory defense, and in truth, that's going to be a very tough fight for Darren Van Horn against James Toney. He got whacked out by Iran Barkley, but it's a mandatory, and they have to do it, so Toney will do it. But after that, it's blue sky all the way. You got Nigel Benn, or Eubanks, just Eubanks, whoever wins that. Michael Nunn is certainly a possibility. Now Nunn also a super middleweight champion of another organization. Of course, eventually Roy Jones.
A lot of fights out there for James Toney.
And you know, he dislikes the perception that somehow Roy Jones is a Superman to him. She pointed out to us, he does not feel that he would go into that Roy Jones fight as an underdog.
I think it'd be a competitive fight, too.
I think it would be an outstanding fight. I have a lot of respect for Roy Jones' punching power. Oh, look at the combinations by James Toney. See, and Ricky Thomas can't do what they want him to do. He's trying to. He's trying to step to his right and land that right hand as Toney bends down with his shoulder. Toney is simply too quick for him to execute that move.
So Toney continues to take Ricky Thomas to school in what has been a flawless performance so far. And around 7.
James Toney landing everything, including this uppercut on the inside against, and then he follows with the hooks. It's not just the uppercut, but here comes a punch right after it. Barry, I have to tell you, the 7 rounds he fought here and the 8.5 he fought against Iran Barkley, I think are the best rounds of boxing James Toney has fought, period, as a pro, by far.
Hard to argue that. I mean, as you said, we watched that fight together. He didn't lose a round in that fight, and I don't think he's lost a round in this fight.
It's the way he's not losing.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just really astonishing. And there's the jabs, showing you how Toney has won the battle of the jabs. And Ricky Thomas has made an effort throwing over 200 jabs. Now, here's what Ricky Thomas is doing now, and I don't think it's a bad idea. Trying to give Toney a lot of movement. Maybe this will get Toney out of his rhythm, and he can land punches from a different angle. It's not a bad idea. Nothing else has worked for Ricky Thomas.
Of course, a shutout. I mean, you just can't see it any other way. And again, it's not to detract from what Thomas has tried to do.
There you go. Good shot. He can't hit you, James.
Well, if he should lose this match, and Ricky Thomas is on his way to doing it, it would be his 5th straight loss. He lost to Brian Bannon in 6. He lost to Darren Van Horn in 10. Lamar Parks in 10. Johnson Suma in Johannesburg, South Africa in 10. At least 3 of those fights he feels he won. But it's a shame. It's not indicative of what he's up to.
The crowd suddenly turns away from the ring. Activity going on away from the ring.
Oh, why not? We had everything else here tonight, so it's been a very, very bizarre evening in many respects.
And continues so. Larry Holmes help.
I would if I was there.
Larry doesn't do that without being paid.
No. No, wait, he did with Trevor Burbick one time.
That's true, yeah.
James Toney is just having his way, continues to be able to do pretty much what he wants. Lou Savarese and Nathaniel Finch going at it again.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Toney driving Thomas back with the left hand. And there's a huge right hand. And a left hand again. There was a counter left by Toney. And Toney just, there's just nothing you can say that hasn't already been said. Brilliant performance.
James Toney throwing excellent combinations, good, short, sharp, crisp punches, and Ricky Thomas, they told him very pointedly in the corner, get off the ropes, but that is the least of his problems. I don't think he's been on the ropes that much in this bout, but when he does get there, yeah, James Toney will do a job of it.
He's done a job in the center of the ring, too. It is hard to imagine, though, that despite the fact that Thomas has fought very good fighters, that he's lost his last 5. Because he definitely has skills.
Yeah, he should have somewhere in there, but then he feels like he did get a win somewhere in there. Everybody, I guess, apparently felt that he beat Darren Van Horn. He felt he won in South Africa, but didn't get the decision. And he's obviously not the kind of boxer who's going to knock a lot of people out. Not a huge power puncher.
Triple jab. Counter left. Left hand and a straight right. Right uppercut.
You know, it's astonishing to me that with all that's happened here in the 9th round, that Ricky Thomas is managing to still throw punches and throw them in a way that is appropriate. It's good technique.
They're not defensive punches.
And now they're getting a little wider, but it's getting nailed a little bit even more, but still.
Watch that head, Ricky.
Jab, straight right hand.
You can see all the moves are there. Toney doesn't just land the right. He takes a step to his left to put himself in a better position to throw the hook. These are instinctive moves. To give Bill Miller a lot of credit, his trainer. Of course, James Toney for being able to assimilate him.
And like all the great ones, too, he brings the right hand behind the jab so quickly that his man doesn't have time to recover from the jab.
And I have to tell you something. This has not always been so with him. That's why I'm very willing to accept his explanation that getting down the middleweight made him a lesser fighter, because as a 68-pounder, in his 3 fights, he has looked infinitely better than he ever did as a middleweight. And he's good as a middleweight because he was good enough to win a championship and hang on to it for a couple of years. He's serving notice to people that are going to face him at this weight that they're going to see a different guy.
Mary hurt Thomas, and Thomas goes down to the left hand at the bell. Can't be saved by the bell, though, and he does get up.
Sit down, sit down. Sit down. Come on, wake up. Put it over here. Put out. Come on, baby. You gotta go the distance. Let's go. Come on, Ricky. Come on, baby. Come on now. Ready? Come on now. Ricky. Hold on. No, Ricky.
Here's James Toney finally really getting to Ricky Thomas. Boy, that right hand could have done it, but it was the hook instead that really rocked him. And considering all that's happened to Ricky Thomas, we can't fault him for finally going down. That left hook, the one that really hurt him.
And in the corner of James Toney, business as usual. In the corner of Ricky Thomas, now it has just turned to not that we can beat this guy, but just let's go the full 10.
Yeah, they feel like that's important for them in terms of his future. But I think what would be more important for his future is not to get hurt in this bout. And if he is going to get knocked out again or hurt again, I would really opt for stopping this bout. You take a look at the numbers, because there's just no way he's going to win it on decision.
Frank Cappuccino is going to take a very close look at it, too. I don't think he'll go too far with Ricky Thomas. I'm sure he'd like to give the man the chance to finish, but...
One thing, I'm sure he has earned the respect of James Toney with his performance today.
Uppercut drives him into the ropes again. It's not going to go far here. And that's it. Frank Cappuccino stops it. Fight's well stopped. Crowd boos. There's no reason to boo. It was absolutely the right thing to do.
I understand why Ricky Thomas is maybe a little distressed. He feels like he could have gone. He probably could have gone on. But I'm going to tell you something. If Ricky Thomas hasn't earned respect with his performance to this point, another minute and a half isn't going to do it. And you give that man respect. He performed well, but he was starting to get hurt. And you could see James Toney, a lot of respect. A lot of respect for Ricky Thomas. And Jackie Callan holding Thomas's hand up.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And this is the side of James Toney. I want to point this out. A lot of people think of James Toney, and let's take a look at where the fight ended. They think of James Toney as an arrogant guy, and he's shown that side of him sometimes, and has not always been the most pleasant guy to be around before fights. But I got to tell you something. Today, as we both saw, he has shown us a side of him that is a delightful, pleasant, humorous side. And I think if he shows more of that as he goes on in his championship reign as a super middleweight, he'll become even more marketable as a champion.
I think that's very true. He's doing himself a whole lot of favors in the last couple of years.
For Michael Carp.